Be good. Be very good.
I don't know. I don't know about being very good. I have no idea about being very good, but I am trying. I am really trying. And this new phrase, this new phase that's coming out with weight loss, everybody losing weight. I'm looking at health, but we got a doctor on today. Her name is Dr. Alexandra Gajer. She's been here before, and we're going to be talking about the latest craze of the GLP-1s and weight loss and health and what she does for her clients. Of course, just generalization. If you need her to talk more about it, we do have a website that we're going to be sharing, and that way you guys can see the website. Go to the website if you need more assistance. This is not, we're not doing personalized evaluations today. Okay, so that's not happening. I'm letting you know. Dr. Gaia, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi there. So good to see you.
And
Great to be
and
here
you too.
again.
Can you hear me good?
It was cutting out just a little bit.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, I'm glad. Okay, so I was just saying like the GLP-1s and all the other stuff, and people like flocking to this thing, like they're flocking to
Hmm.
this. So I was like health over GLP-1. But you're a doctor.
Yeah.
I'm a doctor. I'm not a doctor of that, of medicine.
Hmm.
You do way more for everyone than I've ever done. But I wanted to talk about that with you today, about health, about, you know, the healthy way of implementing maybe possibly even a lower dose, like you were saying earlier, of a GLP-1. So thank you so much for joining us today. And let's just dive right in. What do you think about this
Yeah.
new craze of the GLP-1s? And now they have the pill coming out.
Right. Yes, it's definitely a brave new world, and
Oh yeah.
thank you for asking. Um, and whenever something is new and exciting, there's always the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Oh yeah.
So we know that being overweight makes you prone to different health problems, and we've kind of gotten into this situation in the U.S. where much of our food that's available, food that's convenient, food that's affordable, unfortunately is not that great for us. So,
Mhm.
when I think about this question, are GLP-1s okay? I think the answer is more nuanced, and it's not diet and exercise or GLP-1s. For me, it's usually how do we restore your health, and diet and exercise has to be the foundation for that. So, and I think everyone knows that. And there were many years when people came to the doctor with weight problems and they would be told, eat less, move more. And they would come back 6 months later and nothing changed because that doesn't really work, right?
No.
We're kind of stuck in this loop. The food that is most available today works on our brain like cigarettes do, where it basically hijacks our brain to eat more than we should. And we always go back to those foods because again, they're addictive, just
Oh
like
yeah.
cigarettes. And it's much easier to pick up a bag of chips than it is to grab an apple. And especially when you're used to eating like that. A lot of people are stuck in making those choices, and the sad thing is that a lot of people feel like it's their fault, that they have no willpower, when in fact our world has changed so much that we don't realize that our brains have been hijacked by food science, so that the food that's convenient, affordable, and quick to eat is the food that's making us fat and unhealthy. So what do we do if we are in this state? And I think the answer is nuanced. And um, there are people who really benefit from medication, and I'm very glad that we have something to help people. And there are some people who have been eating like this for so long, it's very hard to make good food choices.
Yeah.
And sometimes adding a very small dose of a medication like a GLP-1, I think could be helpful just to give you some control over your appetite and also to give you some control over cravings. But I think the only way you should take this is if you are ready to think about and work on diet and exercise. Um, and it's a support, it's a support for our bodies, in order to make better choices. I think where people get in trouble, and where a lot of doctors prescribe this, and you just get at a high dose and you basically
Yeah.
stop eating or start eating very small amounts of the same unhealthy foods, you're not fixing anything.
Hmm.
When you get off the drug, all the weight will come back and you may have some new problems. But if you're working with somebody who knows how to use these as a tool, and what we're actually going to do is rebuild health for you and really look at your metabolic health, which is how your metabolism runs, how you turn food into energy. I think it can be helpful as a tool to make
Hmm.
it possible to make good choices. And I always like to have a plan of how we're going to get out if we're going in. You know,
Hmm.
the pharmaceutical industry wants you to be on this for life, but it's not affordable, and I don't think it's sustainable. And I think that it's better to use this as a tool at a low dose, get in, get out, accomplish what
Wow.
you can, and then have a game plan to stay with what you've accomplished. And there are other tools other than GLP-1s that we can talk about that can make that possible, because for some people diet and exercise is not enough. The body's just resisting letting go of that weight. We can talk about all the reasons that happens. um, and I'm glad I have tools to be able to help people, so that people don't feel like it's their fault or they just don't have the willpower. But I think they're just taking a drug at a high dose is not a great strategy. And at some point, you'll probably be forced to come off of it if insurance doesn't cover it anymore. And then we're kind of right back where we started.
Wow. You said a mouthful. you, you said a lot. I like the fact that you said to use it as a tool, something just kind of aid, because there's a lot of complications I hear, not that I know, but that I hear about the GLP-1s, like stomach paralysis and, the caved in face, like you lose a lot of fat here. It looks like you're kind of going skeletal on me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Is that
Hmm.
true?
Great question. So I think at micro doses. So let's talk a little bit about what GLP-1s are and what they
Right.
do.
Hmm.
So GLP-1s are a class of drugs that are called peptides. And I think peptides can be really powerful tools. Peptides are somewhat similar to hormones, in which they send certain messages in your body for your body to do something. So the word GLP-1 agonist actually means these are peptides that allow your stomach to produce more of the hormone GLP-1. And it's a complex hormone that works in many places in your body. It works in your brain to reduce cravings for carbs, for sugar. It also slows the transit of food through your gut, but it also improves your insulin sensitivity, which is really important to the prevention or treatment of diabetes.
Hmm.
And it can reduce inflammation. Now, at low doses, those are all very good things. If you're just doing a tune up and if you're mimicking doses that your body could actually produce. At the max doses, at high doses of these drugs, you are producing an amount that your body could never, ever keep up with. And then it starts acting like a drug rather than a peptide. So
Hmm.
um, we try to stick to the lower doses. And also, we have some very strict criteria of what we want people to do while they are on these medications. And the most important things are to eat adequate amounts of protein. So I never want you to be on a dose that suppresses your hunger so much that you
Hmm.
can't get enough protein. The
Wow.
very low end is 80 grams. Some men need 120 to 150. It really depends how big you are. And then we need people to be doing strength training. So at these micro doses where the GLP-1 agonists act more like peptides that basically bring your GLP-1 levels to a level that your body could naturally make, it doesn't cause the stomach paralysis. It doesn't cause the caved in face, especially if you're eating the protein and doing
Wow.
the strength training. But once we put it to a level that your body could never make, And if you're just sort of, if you stop eating, then yes, you will lose muscle. We kind of pride ourselves on the fact that most of the time when people go through our programs, they gain muscle and lose body fat because we're not a weight loss center. We are here for fat loss. We're here for fat loss, and we want to build you up. We want to build up that muscle mass because it's muscle is really the currency of health. There's
Right.
lots of studies that show that having a healthy, lean muscle mass is extremely protective when it comes to cancer, when it comes to longevity. People with healthy muscle mass live longer and survive and even thrive in chronic illness and can get through things.
Wow. Wow. So okay, so now my brain, you know me. um, Coming off of the GLP-1s. Okay, let's say that they never existed. Not that they don't, but let's just say they never existed. Um, the one thing I find is that a lot of people don't eat enough protein and they don't lift weights. If they did that, would the body automatically be triggered for the GLP-1s naturally? Do you understand
Yes,
my
you
question?
can. Yes, there
Okay.
are things that you can do that allow your body to produce more GLP-1 naturally.
Mm,
Um, a- and there are some people, of course, who are going to lose weight and keep it off by diet and exercise, by eating adequate protein, by doing that strength training, by getting enough fiber. All those things are really important. Um, but there are some of us too who are so metabolically unhealthy, whether that's because we grew up on food that wasn't good for us and we didn't have many options,
mhm.
or some people just genetically, your mother has diabetes, your grandfather has diabetes, and your genes are very strong to make you um, what's called insulin resistant.
Right.
And it's a good time to maybe bring up insulin a little bit because I think it's
Yeah,
the most
definitely.
important. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the most important hormone when it comes to weight and metabolic health. And again, when I talk about metabolic health, that sounds like a mouthful, but that just means what happens to food after we put it in our mouth. Does it turn into energy that we could use to live our lives and build muscle and think clearly? Or does it get stored as fat that's going to cause a bunch of inflammation and lead to diabetes, even cancer, things of that nature?
Wow.
So, what we want is a metabolism that says, I'm going to turn most of this food into fuel.
Hmm.
And insulin is a very interesting hormone because we need it to live.
Yeah.
When you eat food, it goes through your stomach, through your intestines, and then your intestines lets it go into your bloodstream. And most food is broken down to sugars. A lot of food is broken down to sugars, which is in your bloodstream. And then that sugar has to go inside all the cells of your body to feed it. And insulin is the guard that unlocks the doors to the cells. So most cells can't let sugar in without insulin. And we want the cells to listen, to be really good listeners and to listen to insulin when it knocks on the door. But for a
Hmm.
lot of us, we become what's called insulin resistant, which means that insulin is knocking and the cells are asleep at the wheel. They're not opening the door. So what the body does is it produces more insulin and more insulin. And insulin is a fat storage hormone.
Tell me
If
about
you've ever met, yeah, if you've ever met a type 1 diabetics are people who can't make insulin. If they are not treated with insulin, they are very thin. Usually, when they come to their first diagnosis, they are extremely thin. They've lost a lot of weight. So, people who don't make insulin are very, very thin.
it.
And you can control your calories, you can do all the right things, but if your insulin levels are too high, your body's going to be telling your cells to store everything you eat as fat. So, having that little secret and knowing that insulin is the key and knowing um, and it is one of the things that the GLP-1s do. They make you more insulin sensitive. So you're not
Mm.
flooding your body with insulin. But we can talk about a number of strategies to bring your insulin down without using any drugs.
Okay. I would like to know. You know that right there. Okay, so I don't I'm not a doctor like that, but I added collagen peptide to my regimen in the morning, and it really does work. It's like, okay, it doesn't have any sugar in it. It's chocolate, so I can have my hot chocolate every day.
There you go.
Or I can have it in my coffee because it's not heat sensitive because it's formulated for heat, right?
Hmm.
I find that when I drink this in the morning or when I drink this in the evening, like late evenings, I don't eat a late meal, or I'm satiated a
Hmm.
lot longer throughout the day, and I'm not hungry until like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So
Mm.
I figured I wouldn't take it in the mornings. I would eat my breakfast, I would eat my lunch, and then late evenings when I have the worst, I don't know what it is. Will I have my willpower goes just it plummets, and the next thing you know, I'm munching on this, I'm munching on that, I'm eating this, I'm eating that. But when I have the collagen peptide at night, I don't munch on anything.
Hmm.
And I figured that would probably be the best time for me to take it. But again, I'm not a doctor. But what it does it work like that? I mean, is that good?
Yes, that's actually such a perfect example because
Mm.
the collagen peptides actually give you a good deal of protein, and protein is one of the things that increases your GLP-1.
What?
So without
Stop
taking a
it! I'm not
drug,
getting enough protein in my diet. What
yeah,
the problem with protein is though, I have to go there. Excuse me, but man,
no,
the
it's okay.
fart. I mean, the
Yeah.
fart from the protein. It's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think you have to build gradually when you're increasing protein, and not all protein sources are the same, and everybody's going to respond a little differently to them.
Mhm.
And just making sure you have enough fiber, that so that your gut is working well to process those things is
Right.
important. But yeah, but I think what you're describing is something really cool because um, the collagen peptides are a form of protein and they stimulate increased GLP-1, which means that
Oh,
you're full longer.
yes,
You're
you
not having
are.
all those cravings. And I
None.
also love what you said because I always tell my patients, you wake up each day with a bucket of willpower,
Mhm.
and you're gonna wake up and you're gonna start using that. You're gonna use a little willpower not to be nasty to someone on the road, not to yell at your boss. You're gonna
Right.
use some of that willpower to stay on task and stay focused and get your children to school. And by the time afternoon and evening rolls around, your willpower bucket can be almost empty. So
Oh
I
my
always tell
god.
people, yeah, it's God. I mean,
Gosh.
it is what it is. We're just
Yeah.
like we wake up with a certain amount and it's going to be gone.
Uh-huh.
And sort of engineering your life, setting up your life so that good choices are easy in the afternoon and evening and bad choices are hard. So keep the temptations out of your house, prep something healthy, keep the good choices easy to reach for, and make it very hard to make bad choices because you can't depend on your willpower at that point in
It's
the day.
gone.
You've
Yeah.
used up what was in the bucket.
Let me tell you, vanilla Swiss almond Haagen-Dazs in my freezer is not lasting a day. It's
Yeah. Oh
not.
yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah, I'm with
It's
you.
gone. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
It's gone. I'm good. And then
Yeah.
I'll feel guilty later.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that when I switched up, it was really a big eye opener for me. It's like, okay, I need to not have this in the morning because I'm so hungry by the afternoons that even into the evenings, I'm still snacking, I'm still eating, and that can't be good. Like from me trying to curb my diet, eat healthy, you know what I mean? So that's why I
Right.
stopped taking it in the morning and drinking it at night. And I absolutely love hot chocolate. So to me, that's kind of
Yeah.
like a treat, and then I'm done after that.
Yeah. Which
It's
is great.
amazing.
That is great. And I think not eating right now, it's getting dark so quick in my part of the world, but
Yeah,
trying to stop eating, um, at least 2 to 3 hours before bed can be a major, major reset too for your metabolism. So, um, everything sort of slows down after dark and when we're getting ready to go to
yeah.
bed. So, trying to set yourself up so you're done eating by 7 o'clock. That can be really, really healthy. And um, just making little changes like that can change the
Mhm.
way your body is processing food. So eating more protein definitely produces more GLP-1, which is
Mhm.
great. The other cool little cheat code
I like
is
cheat
if,
codes.
yeah, we like cheat codes,
Oh yeah.
is um, eating your protein and vegetables first. So, especially having the protein first, everybody, you kind of crave some of the less healthy things. But if you can tell yourself, I'm going to eat this part first, and I'm going to have like my meat and vegetables first, and then I can have the mac and cheese, that will also really change how your body processes everything you eat.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah, if you can get the protein and the vegetables into your body first, um, the mac and cheese that you eat won't make nearly as big of an impact. And the other thing is, if you can
Portion
take a,
size?
I'm sorry?
Portion sizes. Like
Yeah,
for
of
me, mac
course.
and cheese is like a big bowl. That's not
Right.
gonna work.
Yeah,
We
so if you eat your protein and vegetables first, you may not have room for that much mac and cheese. That
right.
craving will be satiated to some extent, and
Exactly.
you won't eat as much. The other thing is taking a short walk, even a 10-minute walk within an hour of your biggest meal of the day, makes a huge difference in how much insulin you're going to have laying around. So, active muscles are one of the only tissues that can absorb blood sugar without relying on that insulin signal.
Wow.
So that means that it's a cheat code. If you can work your muscles and just take a walk within an hour of your big meal, all that sugar gets soaked up into your muscles, and you don't have this huge blast of insulin that's saying store fat, store fat, store fat. So
Mhm.
um, whether it's on a treadmill inside the house or if it's nice outside, to go around. And this isn't like a 5 mile walk. This is walk around the block once or twice.
Right.
And often people feel like if I want to lose weight, I have to make these huge changes, give up everything I like. But sometimes with just like not eating as late as you usually did, um, maybe going on that short walk after your big meal. And the other big thing is cut sugar out of your drinks. Drink water. Um, Throw those juices out. I'm sorry. I know that juices are meant to be healthy because they're made from fruit, but the concentration of sugar that's in those drinks, juices, sodas, all those are just playing a number on your metabolism, keeping your insulin high and telling your body to store fat regardless of what else you eat. So switching to sugar-free drinks or water with lemon, um, that can make a huge difference as well.
Mhm. I put my head down on the sugar drinks. I think that I don't like juice. I don't like
Mhm.
sodas.
Good.
I like the seltzer waters. Those to me are
Hmm.
the best. No sugar. My only vice, I think, the only time I really, really is like if a fruit, like maybe a tangerine or an apple or pomegranate, I love those natural sugars, and I know to limit those because those are still sugars. My vice is my cream inside my coffee.
Mm.
It does have sugar in it, but I don't put extra sugar in my coffee because that tastes
Yeah,
sweet enough for me. But some people add sugar even though there is
right.
sugar in there because they can't taste it. Does sugar desensitize you to the amount that it is? Kind of like a salt. You just put a lot of salt because you can't taste the salt. Are you
Yes.
desensitized to it?
Hugely so.
Oh wow.
It's incredible. Um, I I've done a number of these little detoxes as my patients have too, and about a week into not eating sugar, if you really detox your body, you eat a piece of fruit and it's like the most delicious thing you've ever tasted. Your
Yeah.
body experiences it so differently, and those whole foods that come from the earth and I think fruit is okay in my book. The thing is that when you have juice, you don't understand that you're actually eating 10 oranges in a sitting, and that becomes a level of sugar that's not meant to go inside your body. But I
Exactly.
think fruits, vegetables, we have somewhat of a natural stopgap for that, where it's
Mhm.
like if you're eating Doritos, if you're eating Lay's chips, you just keep going and going and going. If you're eating an apple, I don't see many people eating 6 apples in a row. It just doesn't
Fiber.
happen.
The fiber
Yeah, it's
content
the
really,
fiber.
yeah,
Exactly. The fiber, whole
yeah, that's why I
foods
like
are
to eat the whole food because of the fiber that's in it
exactly.
will slow down the sugar if I'm not mistaken. So instead of
Yes.
drinking orange juice, eat an orange.
Yeah, 100%. And even if you want to drink water and squeeze some juice from an orange or juice from a lemon into it, that's healthy. That's a normal amount that your body can process. But I think that there is a common misconception that people feel like if I give up these foods, I will suffer. I will not have my comfort blanket, and and life is already hard, and like giving up the foods you love can feel like this is going to be a level of suffering that I don't want to deal with. But I think that people underestimate how much your appetite and your taste will change, and the
Yeah,
foods you're eating will start to taste really good. And then you're going to start having energy during the day.
yeah,
People are going to start commenting on your skin. I'm talking about switching to eating more whole foods. You're going to be
right,
sleeping better. And most people that I talk to, once they make these changes, they're like, I wish I did it sooner. And I think we are meant to celebrate life with food at certain times. And I'm never going to be someone who tells you, don't ever, go eat cake or anything like that. We should drink, we should eat sugar, we should do all those things. But that's meant for special occasions.
right.
Save it for
Not
the
all the time.
holidays, save it for the birthday. 85% of the time, eat in a way that says, I love my body and I want to nourish it and stay healthy for the people I love and for myself.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. There are certain times, that and I can only relate to what I do. I can't relate to other people, so I have to talk about me because if I talk about
Yeah.
somebody else, I may be lying. But I know that when I'm eating a meal, I have a meal, I'll have a piece of fruit as like my dessert
Mhm.
instead of having a piece of cake because it's not really the cake I'm desiring or wanting. It's the sugar I want.
Right.
It's a habit that I've formulated from when I was young. Well, if you eat all your dinner, then you can have dessert. You can have ice cream. You can
Mhm.
have whatever. So I figured I'm not going to eat the ice cream, but I need to replace it with something because it's going to drive me
Yeah.
crazy if I don't have this. So I'm going to have
Mhm.
a tangerine. And it's like a little tiny tangerine. It's little. And I'm
Yeah.
fine. I mean, if you were to, or if a person was to take something away, should they replace it with something healthier so it doesn't drive them crazy like I did?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I think we need, and the role of sugar in food, oftentimes it is that comfort. It's that stress relief that comes at the end of the day. And I think trying to find some other way to bring yourself stress relief, comfort is important.
yeah,
And whether you're replacing that with a piece of fruit that you like, that you enjoy. Some people like tea with just a maybe a teaspoon of honey, a
hmm,
small amount in there. The warm tea that can become a ritual that feels soothing at the end of the day. But some people get away from having food as that ritual altogether, and maybe it's a walk with their loved one, or they start taking baths or something like that, where there can be a little bit of that stress relief reward at the end of the day. It's hard to teach your body to look at something different,
yeah,
um, but I do think it's important to take care of ourselves and to look at what role that was serving in our lives, and what else can we do to feel good at the end of the day.
I agree with you. I love it when I have you here, Doctor. It's just such
Mhm.
a pleasure. Now, you said that some people can't really lose weight with diet alone, and they do need maybe a small increment of GLP-1. And you also have other things like peptide and
Mhm.
testosterone and all the other hormonal things that you guys actually deal with at your
Yeah.
facility. What do you suggest for people like women in menopause, which is a really big subject now? It's not that we're gaining weight because we're overeating. We're gaining weight because we don't have estrogen, we don't have progesterone, we don't have testosterone levels that we used to have. Where if I skip a meal, I'm losing 5 pounds. No, if I skip a meal, I'm gaining 5 pounds.
Right. Yeah, that's
This is
so
not
true.
funny.
Right.
Tell
And
me about
actually,
it.
I meet with a lot of women and men, but a lot of women in particular who I'm so impressed by their diet and exercise. You know, they're already doing everything right, but their body is saying, I don't want to let go of these extra pounds. And we have a lot of options. And I think that's the field of medicine that I find so exciting. And of course, the GLP-1s are an option, and I will usually use them short term in low doses with a dietary plan to sort of attack what we're going for. Um, then there are also other peptides. So we talked a little bit about peptides as being chemical messengers in the body. The word peptide just means short chain of amino acids.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a number of peptides that are also injections like the GLP-1s that can make different things happen in the body. So there are peptides that decrease inflammation. They're all used short term. None of them are meant to be used long term, but there are some peptides that target body composition by helping people build muscle and turn fat into muscle. So
Mm-hmm.
they work completely differently than the GLP-1s. They work more on growth hormone, which we all make throughout our lives, but most of the time we make far less of it as we get older.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a way to stimulate that for a few months, especially in somebody who's very active and exercising, in order to turn some fat into muscle. And then, and then, of course, there are hormonal transitions for women, and there's been a lot of evidence in the last 5 to 10 years that supporting women with the hormones that they lost during menopause can make a huge impact on their overall well-being and their health, which includes weight. So, you know, estrogen specifically. Protects your insulin sensitivity. So as we lose estrogen, we become more insulin resistant. That's why we get that fat around the belly. So it's not for everybody, but there are women who really benefit from an evaluation, from understanding where their hormones are and finding a way to bring hormones into balance. And we've been slow on supporting women on this. Every other disease in medicine where we lose something. So, like if you don't have enough thyroid, we give you thyroid. If you're a type 1 diabetic and you don't have insulin, we give you insulin. Women lose estrogen, and we say, man, that's going to be a tough few years for you. You know, it's crazy.
It's like you're out of luck. Yeah.
You're out of luck. And
Yeah,
then
you're
men
on your
lose
own.
testosterone, we give them back testosterone. So now we're catching up where you know, it's only been in the last 100 years that we have a life expectancy past the age of 45. And I think
Mm-hmm.
women, we have a lot of data that says women live longer, but our quality of life tends to decline far more than that of men. And with the right hormonal support, women can stay sharp, feel good in their bodies. And I think there's a lot of judgment too about being vain. No, no, no. We deserve to feel good. You know, like
Thank you.
there's,
Being vain? No.
yeah,
I'm in
no,
pain, not vain. Pain.
right, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, people deserve to feel good in their bodies. And what that means might be a little different for each person. We want you to be healthy. We want you to build up your body with nutrients and good food. But there's nothing wrong with being at a healthy weight at whatever age you are at. So there's lots of options. There's of course making sure that you're on a diet and you're exercising in a way that works for your body. But then there's also looking at hormones, it's considering peptide support to help your body listen to the good habits that you have. So if you're eating well and exercising, peptides will basically tune up your body so it responds the way you expect it to. For some people, we do gut microbiome testing.
Mm-hmm.
So there can be some people are holding on to weight and resistant to weight loss because they have so much inflammation in their body. And you know, that's it's a confusing word, but most people know what you mean when you say inflammation. It's that feeling like things are swollen, that joints hurt, that maybe you're getting rashes, that your body's on fire in different ways. And when there's a lot of inflammation, you can't burn fat, and it's one of the drivers of insulin resistance too.
Mm.
So most of your immune system that drives inflammation lives in your gut, and for some people, we'll do gut health testing, looking at what their gut microbiome looks like. We give you a number of supplements to rehab it, and then the body is able to sort of tune in and um, start doing what it's supposed to do. But if you're doing the right things, but your body's not responding, there's likely some signal that's not coming through the way it should. And that might be your genetics, but it might also be a hormonal imbalance. It might be a lack of certain peptides, or it might be that your gut microbiome is imbalanced.
Oh, these things. Oh, it's just so much.
I know, if only there was one lever to pull and everybody was healthy. I mean, I would love that, but I haven't found that one yet.
Oh goodness. And you're a doctor. Come on. Come
I
on.
know, I know.
It's such a blessing to have you here and to
Thank
talk
you.
about these things because women, especially women, I know that men go through andropause, and
Hmm.
some andropause is really bad. They have the pains and they have the aches and they get the belly weight and all that stuff too. So, but women go through menopause more than men go through andropause like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's much more dramatic. Yeah.
Yeah, it is way. We are dramatic.
Yes.
But wow, doctor, thank you so much for being on the show. I know that we have a limited amount of time that we can share things, but people can always reach you. How can they reach you?
Best way to reach us is to go to our website, which is thegaierpractice.com. And there is a button there to book a free introductory phone call. That's a really great place to start. You get to talk to one of our health counselors for free, and they can talk you through the options you have in working with us. We can work with anyone throughout the country when it comes to health coaching, um, and sometimes support through supplements or peptide therapy. In terms of ordering labs and prescribing actually prescription drugs, we're limited to the Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, Maryland area, but we can work with anyone throughout the country in a coaching capacity and help you navigate your health and find the right resources to be on the right path.
That's wonderful. I mean, you got to start somewhere, right? Can you get
Yeah.
testing though? Can they do testing if they're outside of your area? Can you send them a kit, or do they go to like a local clinic, or is that something you're
Right.
working on?
Yeah, so there's some testing that we can do. There are some limitations where traditional labs, they do require orders from a doctor who's licensed in that state.
Hmm.
So sometimes we'll just give you a list of labs that you would have your doctor, or we can reach out to your local doctor, your primary care doctor, and ask them to place the order. But we may have to work with a doctor who's licensed in the state that you live in.
Well, I mean, at least that's something, right? At least that's
Yeah.
something, because I mean, not everybody understands these things, and being that you've been on the show more than one time, I'm sure that people are starting to trust you and your judgment now.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank
I,
you.
I, I Anytime, anytime. I believe that there's a lot to be said, and we have dropped the ball on everything to be said. But what we can say, and I hope, is that everybody is an individual and everybody has something more than someone else or something different or whatever. So to get with you would be the best thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd
Definitely,
love to
definitely.
see you.
Yeah, and you too, and you too. And thank you guys so much for tuning in, Dr. Gaia. Thank you so much. Again, it's the Gaia Practice. That's Gajer, thegaiapractice.com. And you can go ahead and get that in the description, or you can go ahead and just type that in right now. Go ahead and get and book your free consultation today, so that way you can literally have at least a starting point on your weight loss and your health program. I mean, Dr. Geyer said it. There's a lot of things that need to be done. It's not just a pill. It's not just an injection that's going to get you down to your desired weight. But there's a lot of things that we all must do to get down. And if we start beforehand, I think we'd be better off. Stay away from the Haagen-Dazs.
Mm.
Stay away
Yeah.
from the Haagen-Dazs. Drink your peptides at night.
Yeah.
Dr. Gaia, thank you so much again. And thank you guys so much again for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. And I tell you one thing, I always enjoy this show. And I enjoy when I have Dr. Gaia on. Thank you so much. And until next time, guys. Bye. Thank you for watching.